Thank you for listening to Pow Block Podcast, the flagship Nintendo podcast of Boss Rush Network. Do you need even more gaming and entertainment in your life? Head over to bossrush.net where you can find news, reviews, creators, podcasts, and more focused around the content you enjoy.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Nintendo Pow Block, episode 295. Yes, we are so close to that episode 300. I am not Eddie V. I'm your substitute host tonight, Corey Deerig. Alongside me, the beautiful man with the beautiful mane, the TikTok trendsetter, Galutrad.
That's right. Also not Eddie V.
No.
How's it going, everybody?
It's fine. You know what?
Golf claps.
You know what? It's fine. There's a lot of beautiful people on this panel today. You know why, Jacob?
Why is that, Corey?
Because we have two guests here with us tonight. We have...
You have to be really careful about who you pick now because you've set the standard that one of them is now more beautiful than the other.
Oh my god.
Y'all know it's now you put it in my head, Jacob. It's fine. You know what?
I volunteer Greysun as tribute.
You know what?
There you go.
I'm just gonna go around on my screen. Whoever's next to me, you know him, you love him. Writer from Game Rant, Greysun Morales. Hello, Greysun.
Hello. I'm also not Eddie today.
No.
Today. So please be excited.
Please be excited. That's what we call a E3 callback. Everybody, look it up. It's fine. Also joining us from not only the Boss Rush podcast, but also an almost finished writing author now. I mean, I guess you've written multiple novels at this point, but you're almost done with your current one. Stephanie Klimov.
Hello. I gotta remember I'm on Nintendo Pow Block and not After Dark, and I will keep my potty mouth to a minimum.
It's fine. It's fine. Within the first 5 minutes, the time LaRon was on, he said some curses, so it's fine. It's fine.
Oh,
LaRon. Also, I have a bone to pick with LaRon before we get started. He tried to start something in our Boss Rush podcast chat about our standard definition episode of Infamous went up today. And he said that I did it without him. And I was like, I did not do Infamous. You're going to have to talk to Ed about that. And he's like, I'm going to be in the chat tonight to talk trash to Eddie V. And then Stephanie chimes in and said, Eddie's not on tonight, LaRon. So.
Gotta catch him next week.
Man. One more strike, LaRon. I mean, you can only
Check
be
your
wrong.
Sources, LaRon. Check your sources.
Yeah, LaRon. Check your chats. He's not listening. I don't know why we're rambling about him. It's fine. You know, because it's a Nintendo podcast, and we're not talking about Monster Hunter. Well, somebody might be, but anyways. How's everybody doing? Everybody have a good weekend? Everybody have a good, fun weekend?
No.
What do you mean, no?
I did.
Yay, Greysun, tell us about your weekend.
Let's start with positive.
Yeah, so I got rollerblades yesterday, which I'm very excited about. I've been wanting to get into rollerblading for a very long time. I don't think I've owned a pair of rollerblades since I was 13 or 12 or something. So I got some blades and I went for a ride yesterday. Had so much fun, and then I went out again this morning, and then I went out again after work today. So I've been outside a lot, doing lots of exercise, just sort of getting used to the roller skates again.
Question. Is rollerblading now becoming a thing again? Because I had rollerblades when I was a kid. I loved them. Then I just felt like the attitude culture is rollerblading's for kids, and it's a thing in the past. But everybody's talking about rollerblades again. I'm like, I kind of want to again.
I think they're back. I mean, I feel like a couple years ago, people would probably sort of maybe make fun of you if you get caught roller skating. It's kind of like a kid's thing. But I think nowadays it's super trendy, all over TikTok. So now's the time. I think it's so much better than jogging, and it's so much better than biking sometimes. It's super fun. So that's what I did all day yesterday, and then today.
Awesome. Bring back those bell-bottom pants and roller
Yeah.
skates. Let's do this. All
Yeah,
right.
they have like Spotify has like a bunch of like roller skating playlists that I was listening to, which are very good. Mostly just like 70s and 80s, like what's that genre called? It's basically pop music, but really iconic songs.
So I don't know if it would work for rollerblading, but a very specific song for a very specific source or like activity that I love to listen to is "Oh Green World" by the Gorillaz when I'm riding on a train. I don't know why, but like something about that song just like gives me the vision of like swiftly passing scenery. So I highly suggest it if you haven't already.
Yeah, I like the Gorillaz. So
Greysun also gave me a chance to talk about Brink, one of the best Disney Channel original movies. Today.
Not one of the best games ever made.
No, that game was bad.
Mm-hmm.
But movie, classic, timeless.
It
so
is.
to say.
It is.
I never seen it.
Oh man.
You should.
And I used to watch like
change-
everything on Disney Channel.
It'll change the way you feel about rollerblading. You'll get like this whole new reinvigoration for it.
You'll also want to weirdly wash dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's you'll understand
know.
if you watch the movie, but
I have Disney Plus, so maybe I'll find it.
It's on there. I found it. It was like literally like the third or fourth movie I looked up when I got this.
Well, you don't have to Google it. There you go.
Oh man. Stephanie.
What about you, Corey?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Me and Stephanie had bad weekends.
Oh no. What did I do this weekend?
You have to have something good in there.
What did we do this weekend? We did something and now I forget because it was 2 days ago. It was fun. I remember it being fun. Last night we went over to my sister-in-law's house and I played a pretty mean game of Scrabble. Let me tell you that. It was a good time. And we cooked out and everything. It was fun. My daughter got a scooter. That was fun.
Nice. She's mobile.
Yeah. It was interesting. So, my daughter's soccer game was also on Saturday. Let me tell you, she's really into soccer for a 3-year-old. So
Great. She'll get all her energy out and won't throw your Nintendo Switch around.
yeah, that'd be great. That would be great. Her new obsession now, by the way, is she loves Xbox. She loves to say the word Xbox, and she loves to play with my Xbox controllers. And she thinks it's hilarious to turn the console on by pressing the Xbox button and the controller. She thinks it's hilarious. And then every night, I'll read to her and then I'll let her watch like a video for 5 minutes. Like I'll set a timer and she watches a video for 5 minutes. Now, instead of either watching a video or reading, she wants to go to Xbox Design Labs and color controllers.
Oh my god.
That's awesome.
So we do that.
Wow. Yeah, make sure she doesn't accidentally buy one of those.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not signed in.
Yeah.
So, the thing we did this weekend, the big important thing, we took my son's 1-year-old pictures.
Aww.
So that was fun.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. I mean, his birthday was a couple months ago, but we just had to keep moving it. So,
Well,
but I'll tell him you said that, Galutrad.
Save it for the next one.
And he'll look at me and like, I don't understand your words, but feed me.
and he'll articulate that perfectly, but he won't actually understand what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're correct. You are correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was my weekend. I also played a lot of Destiny and Assassin's Creed, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
So why the bad weekends, kids? Why?
Stephanie, do you want to go or?
Yeah, I'll make it quick. But I'll preface it with it was meant to be a good weekend. I got to see the Red Sox. I got it's the second level, right behind the Red Sox dugout. It was perfect. Like all the foul balls are coming in our direction. It didn't go far enough for us, but it was perfect view. And even though it was meant to be this big heat wave in the northeast, it was perfect. Like an hour into the game, the sun was already behind the stadium, and it was perfect. I wouldn't go to a Sox game in late July or August anymore. But so that was the good thing. And the Sox won because they're doing terrible this season. So the fact that I got to go to the game and they won was fantastic. The bad part was that I bought those Red Sox tickets for my boyfriend for his birthday, and then when we got back, he dumped me.
What?
Yeah, over a really small, petty argument, which likely means it might have been in his mind. But yeah, he's just like, this isn't working. Goodbye. I'm like, what? I'm so confused. And it was really upsetting. Like, I'm laughing now because I've had the weekend to process it. Like, poor Corey. I was a crying mess. I was texting everyone I could text, but I was crying for hours. But no, now I can laugh at it because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
It's fine. He doesn't like video games, and he doesn't like my Street Fighter 2 jacket, so he can shove it.
Right.
What a jerk.
And he doesn't like cheese.
What?
Yeah,
what?
It's a red flag right there.
Exactly.
People.
How long did
cheese
this
is like the one
last?
thing
How?
where
I mean, you
people
should
who are
have.
allergic to cheese like cheese.
Right? And I think one of the Wisconsinite friends of ours said, you never trust a person who doesn't like cheese. And you know what? That's true.
Now we know.
It's true. That is
But,
true.
you know, like Muzan, you know?
It does.
It does.
Jacob, what happened?
Well, mine seems a lot less like sad.
No, there's no. It's not a contest. What happened?
So
Stephanie
I was awake
wins.
I was awake for 26 hours because my brain just does that sometimes. I had to be up at 4 a.m. in order to go to overtime on Saturday morning for work because we're really behind because of the electronic shortages. But so then I got home after that and I was like, I've been awake for 26 hours. Went to bed, woke up just super depressed. So slept the rest of that day, just kind of called that day a bum. And then woke up on Sunday with a bad migraine. And so I slept all day Sunday because I was like, well, this is just the worst. And then get to work this morning and I'm like, you know what? Headache is still kind of there, but it's okay. It's starting to go away. And the fire department right next to where I work is doing like smoke and fire drills. And so they're like, just all this smoke is getting released into the air. And it's just permeating our entire building. So headache comes back just right away. I slept most of the time out of sadness or pain.
That's awful. And it's like the fact that it cascaded one after the other. It's one thing if you like, fine, you chalk one day away and maybe the next day you'll rebound. But yeah, it just seemed to, that sucks.
It's okay. It is what it is. Like I said, it's not, like you said, life goes on. That's what I keep telling myself. Just keep moving. So yeah. So that was my weekend.
Well, I'm glad everybody had a great weekend.
Yeah, shout out to Polar Nights. He says, as a barber, I love this show, and the guy, which is you, Jacob, it's the perfect evolution of beard growth.
Aw.
That is pretty.
Thank you.
That is pretty fair. We'll say
a
that.
fair assessment. Very accurate. Anyway.
Well, guys, before we get into the meat of the show, we are going to shout out our Patreon producers. Remember, if you want to support this show, among many others on the Boss Rush Network, you can head over to Patreon. Patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. And for just $1, you get the Boss Rush podcast and Nintendo Power Block expansion pass 1 week early, and Boss Rush After Dark in standard definition 2 weeks early, just for $1. But if you subscribe at the $5 tier, you get a producer credit on this here program. So, without further ado, our Patreon producers for this episode of Nintendo Power Block are Quentin Jackson, Rebecca Jewell, Adrielle Munger, and my wife, Sana Dierig. I want to thank our patrons, all of our patrons, everybody who listens for free out there. We love your support too. Remember, all of our content is free. It's just if you are a patron, you get a couple extra perks, like early access and a shout out.
And where can you go to do that again?
Well, Jacob, you can go to patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. That is patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. Thank you. Now it's time for Snack Tendo. Jacob.
Oh, wow.
What have you been snacking on?
Yeah, so the one good thing about today was that every Monday, our quality manager brings in a baked good from the weekend before. And this weekend, apparently, she decided to make a citrus and lemon, which I guess is just more citrus, but it was orange and lemon cake. And so it was like cake, and it was in layers. It was cake, and then lemon goo, and then citrus, and then orange goo, and then repeating for like 8 layers. And it had orange icing on the top, and then she had little orange and lemon, like those little gummy candies that have they're like sugar coated. She had those, except somebody in the office, not me, kept picking off the candies and not eating the cake, and so there would just be spots of the cake where there was just like no icing because somebody ripped the little candy off of it. But it was so good. I'm a sucker for orange. My favorite like Christmassy candy is those chocolate oranges. Those are so good.
Chocolate oranges.
It's like a big circle of chocolate shaped to look like an orange, and you smash it and it breaks into like orange slices, and it's chocolate with like a flavor of orange to it.
It's pretty cool.
I've never heard of that.
Well, that sounds delicious. I want to look up a recipe and make that.
I will see if I can get it from her, because it's every weekend she bakes for her family, and she always makes extra for us at the office. It's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Greysun, what about you?
Oh man. So I feel like I haven't really been snacking that much at home, but so last weekend, not like the previous weekend, but the week before, my partner and I had like 2 of our close friends visit from Florida, and they were staying at our apartment for about 3 or 4 days, I think. And when people were here, we're hosting and taking them everywhere. So when I say we ate out, that's like an understatement. Like, we ate out. Like, we had sushi, we had like Peruvian food, we had like so much coffee, I had creme brulee, I had tiramisu. Like, pretty much every night we went off to eat dinner or breakfast, and we had like desserts and pastries with like every single meal. So like this past week, me and my boyfriend have sort of just been like recovering and trying to like eat acai bowls and smoothies like every morning to kind of like bring our bodies back to shape. Cause we usually don't eat out that much to that extent. Like, every meal is like eating out. But man, I have like Chicago has some like the best food, and we took them to like our go-tos, but we also went to a couple of new places we were kind of like nervous about, but everything ended up being incredible and delicious. And yeah, we had such a good time. It was super tiring at the end of it when they left, but it was a blast. So yeah.
Nice.
Do you have a particular meal from all of the meals that you ate out that like really stood out?
I'm trying to think. I mean, so we went to the sushi place that we go to frequently, and that stuff just always has like the best stuff. I guess there wasn't really one specific thing, but yeah, the sushi was probably the best part.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Stephanie, what about you?
Kind of looking back a little bit, since it's been a while since I was on the show. For Mother's Day, it's grill season, so I grilled a filet mignon, and I used Alton Brown's dry rub. So I seasoned it with that and grilled some asparagus along with it. And then more recently, after the Red Sox game, there's this Boston's really transforming in the best way. There's this great food court near Fenway Park now. It's very trendy and hip, and it's very like a beer hall kind of setup. Kind of like, Faneuil Hall, but much less crowded. And I got myself a rice bowl, but you pick the type of flavor you want. So I had a Korean bibimbap like type flavor with the fried egg and everything. Oh, so good. And all that. I love kimchi, and I just inhaled the entire thing and dealt with a stomachache later. And then snack wise, I've been kind of, sticking with typical stuff. Celeste, a good friend of ours, sent me some samples of those popcorner chips. They're delicious. My favorite, I've officially deemed my personal favorite, the spicy queso flavor. I like it. It's just got the right amount of heat. So that's my favorite there. But other than that, I think that's kind of it.
Nice. Well, for me, I don't have anything as daring as Ed does, but on Friday night, my wife and I just didn't feel like we weren't really that hungry, and like we just kind of wanted something fun. So we got soft pretzels and cheese, and we just baked them in the oven, and just we chowed down on some hot pretzels and cheese and a salad. That was our dinner. And I gotta tell you, hot pretzels and cheese are the best thing ever.
Like, what kind of cheese? Was it just...
We got that queso blanco stuff. And then in my cheese, so at our grocery store, they sell the Taco Bell fire sauce in a bottle. And I bought a big bottle of Taco Bell fire sauce, and I mixed it in with it. Oh,
nice.
So good. So good.
Yeah. Pretzels are really underrated, I feel like.
Yeah. The thing is, though, is like I don't like pretzel rods or like really like pretzel sticks or the like the chipped style pretzels. I'm a soft pretzel guy, and I just
oh yeah,
man, soft pretzels. Also, shout out to cinnamon sugar pretzels. Also,
like from Auntie Anne's,
yeah,
like this kind of stuff. Oh
yeah.
my god, yeah.
Yeah, and you get the icing to dip it in. Oh.
It's the only reason to go to the mall these days,
right? They never fail you. Oh god.
A girl my cousin used to date used to work there, and every time we'd go see her, we'd buy the pretzel, and she'd give us like 2 things of the icing. It's awesome.
So good.
It's awesome. Well, that's gonna do for Snack Tendo. Sorry, it wasn't a 20-minute conversation like last week, but you know. But we're gonna throw it to you, Jacob, for our segment. Hey, you, what's new? What's new this week, Jacob? I know you're excited for one.
There's no, I'm not excited at all.
That's not true.
There's not a lot of noteworthy titles coming to the Switch this week. But everyone, not just myself, everyone, every pony, sorry, if you'll forgive me, can look forward to My Little Pony, a maritime bay adventure. Maritime spelled M-A-R-E time. I appreciate the pun. Where our weekly Hey You reporter, Dan Murphy, has this to say. I can't really tell what this game is about, except that it's My Little Pony. So there you go. There's some other games coming, but not really anything new and noteworthy coming this week, unfortunately.
And you know what? That's okay, because it's been quite a year in gaming so far, and it'll continue to be that way. We all need a break. We got to admit it.
It's true.
Yep.
That's true. I gotta be focused on the new season of Destiny that drops tomorrow, Jacob. I can't be bothered by some of these Switch games. That are
You can't anymore. Now you have to focus on My Little Pony and Maritime Bay Adventure.
That's fair. Maybe I'll review it.
All right.
I will not.
Greysun, can we contract you to review that?
I mean,
I don't know. I'm kind of busy.
He's too busy writing something about any other game ever made somewhere, even in his journal at night. He's just, please don't pick me. Please don't.
Anything but ponies in the ocean, please.
Yep.
Give me the Fire Emblem pirate game instead.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh man, that made me so happy just now.
You guys talk about it so much.
I know. Your boyfriend's a lucky man, Greysun. That's all I can say. Fire Emblem. I need it. Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Jacob. Thank you for giving us that great, riveting list of things that are coming out.
Yeah. Happy.
We're gonna move into.
Switch has no games.
I know. Gosh, Switch has no games. Failure. Where's the next one? Where's Switch Pro? All right, we're moving on to question block. We have one question this week. Remember, you can tweet at Palblock Podcast or email us at nintendopalblock@gmail.com. Our only question this week comes from friend of show, Deshaun Malone. He says, "Yo, dudes, what do you think of the new PlayStation Plus program, and do y'all think Nintendo's service is better or worse?"
Can somebody educate me on the entirety of the new PlayStation Plus program real quick, please?
On bossrush.net, I think Laurent did a great article. Let me see if I can pull it up, unless someone else just happens to know this information off the top of their head.
I mean, I don't know the details, but I know that there's 3 tiers, right? I don't remember the names of each one, but the first one, the basic one, is like just what the plan is at the moment, just PlayStation Plus. The one in the middle gives you access, I think, to like PS4 and PS5 games, like whether that's through streaming or just downloading them. And then that most expensive, like premium tier, that's where most of the people are probably going to go towards, because that's where the classic PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games are at. And those are only going to be accessed through streaming, though, as far as I know.
And what does that cost in reference to what PS Plus currently costs?
That I don't know off the top of my head.
I know that PlayStation Plus is $60 a year or $10 a month.
Okay.
The premium plan is $18 a month, which would put it at, I'm not sure. I can't do math.
I think it's 100.
So
might be like 100 something.
So the extra is $14.99 US a month, or $99.99 yearly, and the
100.
premium is, I'm gonna round up, guys, $18 a month or $120 a year.
Okay.
There you
20.
go.
Yeah.
So if you check out bossrush.net, there's an article, the all new PlayStation Plus, everything we need to know so far. I'm trying to see if there's there's a long list of games here. Yeah, for PS4 and PS5 games. I'm just going to list just a couple, like Alienation, Batman, Arkham Knight, Bloodborne, Celeste, Demon's Souls, Death Stranding Director's Cut. Let's see, there's more. Wow, goodness, that's a long list. Red Dead 2. And so I don't know. I could take like 20 minutes to read this out, but I like their time-limited game trials, which I think the time-limited game trials that will be initially offered is Uncharted, Legacy of Thieves Collection, Horizon Forbidden West, Cyberpunk 2077, Farming Simulator 22, Tiny Tina's Wonderland, which I would check out for if it was for a time-limited trial, and WWE 2K22.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like it's been confusing. It's always been confusing since they announced it, right? And they've been trying to kind of sum it down to help better explain it to people, but I just don't think they've been doing like a great job. And I don't like the streaming part of it, to be honest. Like as someone who's like, I'm a big PlayStation fan. Like I like a lot of their classic games, but I'm not subscribing to premium unless there's like just, I don't know. I don't like going back to old games that often, to be honest. And I know that it all looks cool from the outset. Like, oh, I can play Ape Escape and stuff. But like, I'm not really gonna play those games more than like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna be subscribing. I don't know. Compared to Game Pass, it kind of just like it seems a little high for that premium cost.
Oh, I turned my video off for whatever reason. Sorry.
Go ahead, Jim. I feel like I've seen a trend, and I don't know why, but apparently there's been a trend of like just canceling your gaming subscriptions. I think Xbox is the major one that people are talking about, canceling their Game Pass subscriptions. What's going on with that?
I think because people are arguing that Microsoft doesn't have any big first-party titles coming to Game Pass in recent months, and nothing really coming in the future since Redfall and what's the other game called that got delayed? Starfield got delayed. It's like, okay, nothing's coming from you guys, so we're going to cancel for the time being.
I mean,
okay.
I mean, I like having Game Pass. It's essentially like a Netflix subscription. I don't remember the last time I even played anything on Game Pass aside from like, I think I tried Tunic out for a little bit, but I just like to have it because it's convenient. Also, I like what Xbox has announced and what's coming, and a lot of games on there I wouldn't have tried out ended up being games that I really like Outriders was a game that I absolutely love, and I wouldn't have touched it if it wasn't on Game Pass. So I don't know. To me, the whole thing about the PlayStation thing is like I'm not invested in the PlayStation ecosystem like at all. You know, I mean I like the games when they come out, but like I like Uncharted and I like Horizon, but I'm not like dying to get a PlayStation. You know, like I just not. I mean, again, I guess it's the same for Xbox. I'm not like crazy about Halo or anything, but I just think Game Pass is a great deal, and their online stuff works way better, and their backwards compatibility stuff is way more convenient than PlayStation's. Smart delivery is way more convenient.
So for me, well, the thing about Xbox is its strength is the fact that it has a nice rotating selection. I mean, there are stuff that will always be on there, but things come on and they come off, so it keeps things fresh. So for someone who likes to sample and explore different games, there's a lot of attraction towards Game Pass. The people that are unsubscribing because of lack of, new first-party titles, that's just because those are the like hardcore fans, which I can understand. I'm a Nintendo person primarily, but my next console is PlayStation because I like their first-party, third-person action-adventure IPs, right? And they're just ripe with it. I actually had canceled or ended my subscription of just the traditional PS Plus, just only because I haven't really been utilizing it. Looking at this now, from a person that likes Sony's IPs, this is attractive to me. Maybe not now, because if I pay for it now, I'm not gonna play it. I'll buy it when I'm finally caught up, right? But I feel like this is going to be for the Sony diehard fans, because that's where all the classics are going to be stored. Whether or not it'll really kind of excel, I think depends on what they're going to continue to do with it. I don't think that there's much room for rotation. I think they need to kind of keep things fresh. I think that would be an additional step to make it better. But I'm not going to poo-poo on it before it's officially even launched. But I would say that's kind of where it might not grab all fans. And I know the question was like more or less about comparing it to Nintendo with the subscription service. But I mean, we all know the online service for Nintendo isn't great. I'm not going to be an apologist or something for it, but I still think Nintendo is taking it really slow, whether that's intentional or not. I feel like Nintendo's going to come out with an announcement around E3 time of what their next stage is, whether it's another catalog of N64 games or if it's going to be Game Boy Advance or whatever. It's too early for me to say how well it is compared to everything else, but I consider it different. It's just different.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, just looking at it from the outside, I think the price is like a little steep. I think that top tier, I think they could have gotten away with like $8 or $15 a month. That would have put it in line with Game Pass Ultimate. I don't know. But like to your point, Stephanie, you said this is for the hardcore. I think a lot of hardcore PlayStation games have played a lot of those games already, though. You know? And a lot of the hardcore PlayStation faithful are physical game collectors. So I don't know. I'm just kind of confused at who this is for a little bit. And I think it's different. I know we're supposed to be comparing it to Switches Online, but just to go back to Xbox for a second, it's like Xbox has been pushing their digital storefront and their digital services and digital. Whereas PlayStation, it looks like they want to like do both a little bit. And I think people, because everybody I know on the PlayStation side of things are like, I want to have the physical game. And a lot of people have collected their physical copies since the PS1. And to my knowledge, you can't just pop in a PlayStation 1 disc and play it, or a PS2 disc and play it. Like you can with Xbox to the extent. So
well, I was kind of hoping for PS2, PS1 games somewhere in there, but hopefully that'll be down the line.
I think those games, I think they said somewhere down the line they will be selling those games a la carte. And if you already own them from PlayStation 4, you can just download them already at no extra cost. But going back to like the Nintendo thing, I think in theory Nintendo's is better just because they have that legacy and those games and those like the franchises that everybody loves, not just like hardcore people, right? Like I heard two kids the other day at the playground talking about Ocarina of Time, and they were like they were like 7 or 8 years old, and they were talking about like we got the subscription service on our Switch and I'm playing this Zelda game and it's like really old but like it's really cool, and I fought King Dodongo and he had to throw the bombs in his mouth. It was really cool, and you can go back in time. I was like, oh man, those kids.
I love that.
God bless them.
And like, I don't know if you're gonna get that with like Ape Escape or something, right? I mean, not that they're like on the same level anyway, but like, I don't know. It's just it's something about Nintendo's classic library that's magical. With that said, they're taking way too long to get these games out. These games should be putting out like a selection a week. You know? And yeah, okay, you could say, oh, well, they got to do licensing. They got to do whatever. They have enough first-party games to be putting out at least one game a week or every 2 weeks at a specific cadence, you know? It's not like... I don't know. They need to get the Game Boy stuff on there. They could get GameCube stuff on there. Like, they could even do Wii stuff on there. I don't care. You know? So...
I think the big takeaway is that no matter what company does what, it's always not going to be enough.
It's fair.
Or not going to be good enough. Because, like, Nintendo doesn't give us enough stuff, and it's not a very good online service. Microsoft is a good online service, but there's no games coming out for it. Sony's is confusing and messed up, and apparently I was also seeing people saying that like their emulation was not a good version of it, similar to how Nintendo, when they first released everyone was hating on their emulation of the N64 games. So it honestly just kind of feels like it's just not ever going to be something that's good enough for people. And there has to be a point where you're just like, well, either I pay for it or I don't. And that's, that's that.
Right. But what makes it hard is, if for gamers that are open-minded and like trying different things. Like for me, I'm not so financially well off I can afford all 3 subscriptions.
Yeah.
I cannot. And now I have to pick one.
and I do kind of wonder, so like for Sony and Microsoft specifically, because the one thing Nintendo has always had going for it is that they are cheaper. It's the cheapest service available. Even their NSO pass is cheaper than the other ones. So like, I would love to know where Sony's profit margin and Xbox's profit margin is on that. I would love to know, could they come out and say, you know what, ours costs the same as Nintendo? And like, that would just be crazy to people. They'd be like, look Nintendo, look at this. It's the same price and they're doing so much more than you.
Yeah.
And could they afford financially to do that? And I feel like the answer has to be yes. Well, but I don't know for sure.
I don't know what PlayStation's situation is, but Phil Spencer has commented several times that Xbox Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate are sustainable. Now, granted, I don't know what that means. Like, they could be making $1 a month off of that. Like, that's, but I mean, the fact that Game Pass is sustainable right now is kind of impressive, actually. So, anyways,
it's hard to compare it to. They're hard to compare it to Nintendo's service. To be honest, it's just so different.
I would have to. Yeah, I would have to look at PlayStation's more in depth and see, like, I think the big reason why people are questioning PlayStation's as well is that the PlayStation 3 games are still streaming only.
Yeah.
Because they just can't get that processor to work, like the emulation of the cell processor to work, and it's just putting them behind. So,
which is tough because like the type of internet access, it's not really equitable, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks.
The thing is, though, is that they have some games working on the cell processing emulation, but since each company had to develop games for it differently, as opposed to the Xbox kind of x86 architecture, every game would need its own emulator. So like, they said they might have it working by the time the PlayStation 6 comes out. So, Sony didn't say that. Like, there are some tech insiders that have been talking about PlayStation 3 emulation and stuff. And if you want to know more about that, you should just look it up. But a lot of them are saying, yeah, I've heard that they've actually been working on it since the PS4 Pro came out, and they just can't get them all to work. I'm like, then release them in waves. Who cares? It's fine. I'm going to play some Ocarina of Time. Can't play that on PlayStation. Boom. Unless you have a jailbroke PSP. All right, guys. Yeah. It's time for Fammy News. Did I do it? Fammy News.
There you go.
Jacob,
take it away.
Take it away. With his hands.
Yeah. So we've got 4 news articles, 4 news pieces coming to you this week. The first one, mayhap the rumors of Square Enix being bought by Sony are starting because other companies want to get out of the game as well. It was reported by Kotaku that apparently EA has already been pursuing a sale or merger, possibly even already having talked with Apple, Amazon, and Disney. EA aren't the only ones, though, because Ubisoft is also in the rumor ring with wanting to sell their company after its share prices reach a higher point, upwards of €100 via GameIndustry.biz. So there's been a lot of game company mergers and buyouts and things going on. How do y'all feel about it?
I don't know. I just feel like eventually, it's going to be like Disney, how Disney owns everything, and we're just going to have like 3 companies that own like every single developer and publisher out there.
Yeah. Although I think Disney is the one company that wouldn't buy them because they just closed and sold all of their studios to license games out. So, I mean,
right.
I don't know.
That's Embracer Group, right? Am I saying it right?
Embracer is the one that bought Crystal Dynamics, right?
Yeah.
And
yes.
Yeah.
And, Eidos Montreal and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I was thinking from was it Square Enix's Western division?
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
That was
Embracer.
Pretty smart. I don't know. I think that part was smart because Square Enix is just very focused on kind of their Eastern arm.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
So I feel like, some things seem to jive well and make sense. But yeah, there's just been a lot of mergers and people wanting to be acquired that makes me feel sad. But, video game industry is a business. And my old college economics professor says, a lot of times businesses or lines of business tends to come down to a 2-horse race. Not always 2 horses, but it was a phrase.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see it kind of going farther down to who knows what the final bunch would be, and I don't know, it's hard to say. Depends on if they let the developers make the games that they want.
Yeah, and Microsoft also said they're not done buying studios either recently, so I think this summer you're going to see a lot of acquisitions still from all these companies. I mean, I don't know if you're going to see an Activision type purchase again, because I think somebody's going to be sniffing that out at some point. But I don't know. I think it's Ubisoft I could see, because Yves Guillemot doesn't have any family that wants to take over the business, right? His brothers are out. He's like the last one. So, and he's not a spring chicken, right? He's getting up there. So, like, I think he wants to get out while he can. And, Ubisoft makes sense. EA, though, does not really make a lot of sense to me in terms of, like, selling to someone.
Do you think it could be because of EA's arguably dreadful image in the gaming industry? Like they tend to be the butt of jokes for everything.
Yeah, but to me that leadership is all gone though. So like to me it's just like I don't know. They're gonna have a hard time turning that meme like getting out of that, right? But like they've really started turning around, I think, with certain things like Jedi Fallen Order and a couple other single players things that have come out. They're making the Dead Space reboot or remake and Skate 4. So like it's not just Madden, FIFA, right? They're doing smaller things or single player things that people hated them for in the first place, right? So I don't know. I just don't know. But
so let me run this by all of you, the collective. What if companies started selling their IPs rather than the company themselves, so that we get a wider diversity of where their products go?
Well, I think that's why Disney started licensing out their IP, and I think that's where Warner Brothers will end up heading, right? Because they're still rumored to be selling their gaming division. I think companies like Disney and Warner Brothers who have IP people love are going to start realizing that they just don't know how to handle a game developer or flat out know how to develop games, right? And I think Disney was actually smart to look at that and say, hey, we don't know what we're doing in this space. Let's kind of clean house. Let's kind of hit the reset button. Let's hire someone like John Drake, who came from PlayStation, knows, how the landscape works. He's a huge fan of our IP anyway. He can maybe pinpoint and say, hey, this IP is good for this studio. This IP is good for this studio. This IP is good for this company. I think for the most part that has worked, aside from, maybe Avengers or something. But like, I just think that that's where people are going to start going. I don't think they're going to start selling IPs. I could see people using IPs and licensing them out to other studios. Because like we see that with Square Enix, right? Where they have that Square Enix Collective, I think, is their that indie style thing where they say, hey, if you want to use one of our IP, pitch us an idea and, we'll license you the IP. And we got Fear Effects Sedna out of that. There's that Gex game coming out supposedly soon out of that. So, although I think Embracer owns Gex now, so I'm not sure how that's going to work. But my point is like people are starting to realize they have things that are valuable. And I think you're going to start seeing that with companies like Konami, too, working with PlayStation, right? I think that's going to be a big partnership you see in the next couple of years, too. That's my take.
All right.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I'm not too sure. I mean, yeah, selling IPs sounds kind of weird because you're kind of just like, it's like EA being like, hey, we don't know what to do with The Sims or something anymore. And then they're just going to hand it off to a whole different development team to create like another game. It sounds off to me, but I can totally see it happening too. They wanted to just like make some money and get rid of a IP that's not working for them anymore, or like not really performing as well. Like I'm looking at a list of EA's like IPs right now, and they have like Army of Two, for example, which would be an IP that I could see being handed off to like someone like Embracer Group or something like that. I don't know how likely that would be, but I think we could start seeing stuff like that maybe.
Yeah, and think about all the smaller companies that have started growing that built their games, their original titles as like love letters to these IPs that they care about, and then suddenly they get the opportunity to, with that money, to go in and say, well, let's just build that game. Let's just use that now.
Yeah,
and I think that'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
It would definitely foster more diversity in keeping franchises fresh. But ultimately, it really depends on the original company's financial goals, like how they want to make that money.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, we do see second party relationships all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what would the difference be if like EA went out and said, hey, we're going to work with this studio because all of our studios are busy, but we really want to do this IP?
Yeah, that makes sense.
By the way, Army of Two 40th Day, super underrated.
I played one of them. I don't know if that's the one I played, but I played one like on PS3, and it was fine. It was okay.
Yeah. Well, that first one came out right after Gears, and it was like, what are you doing? This game, Gears exists. Anyways.
All right. Well, speaking of making that money, Steph, thank you. The Pokemon Company has thought of a new way to keep people hunting trading cards until the end of time.
Oh, no.
As a part of a new Pokemon Go series cards, hunters will be able to find peelable Ditto cards.
Oh, gross.
This new mechanic will be noted with a Ditto on the bottom left of the card. The real question is, which will be more valuable in the future, unpeeled Ditto cards or peeled Ditto cards?
Oh, no.
Unpeeled. This looks super cool. Like,
as a mechanic,
I don't know if you guys have seen the video of the person like peeling it, but I saw that. I'm like, I wish I had this when I was a kid, because I would have like kept all those Ditto cards, because that's like one of the coolest things. But when you peel it, you can't. It doesn't. You can't put it back, right? It just peels off.
That's what I understand. Yeah, as it just comes off.
So cool.
Doesn't get to be put back on. So now you've got your pack that could have anything in it, and it could have a Ditto that could have anything behind it. Right? Like, or it could have a card that is a Ditto behind it, and it could be any number of these Ditto cards. Like, that's interesting. And apparently they're not the only card company that does this. Apparently Magic the Gathering has started doing this now as well.
Interesting.
Huh.
So very, very weird, but hey, there you go. More reasons for Pokemon cards to be sold out all the time.
I mean, I was gonna say, I don't think they need another reason to sell cards right now, because Pokemon cards are huge.
I've been trying to get rid of my Pokemon cards for so long. I wish someone would just like buy them for me.
I would buy them from you, but I can't afford those first generation ones.
I know. I have like the very first gen Pokemon cards. I have a lot of first edition foil cards, including the ones that everybody wants. And I'm like, I just want to sell them and buy a house. That's all I want.
Do you think any of the newer generations, like I think this generation, these recent Sword and Shield packs, their thing is the V and the V Max.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think these newer cards will eventually have value as first generation holds value now? Or do you think like there's just so many different booster packs that it's like flooded the market and will no longer really get there?
Just wait 30 years. Time makes everything valuable. I know that sounds like a joke, but it really does. Like, I mean, of course, the cards that I have will always be valuable, but there's always going to be a demand from a child who grew up playing these 20 years from now and wants the collection. And like, oh man, I got rid of those so long ago. I want them. And like, there's always going to be a demand. There's always going to be someone willing. The card is only worth as much as somebody's willing to pay for it, right? And then that's where the price gouge goes, right? And so
no, the card is only worth about 20 cents, to be honest. But it's what somebody is willing to pay for it is the part that matters. But it's only worth.
That's what I said. Cents. That's what I tried to say.
If that. Yeah, I think so, Stephanie. I think that it'll be a lot of the same. I think that your Charizards will still continue to be incredibly popular. I do think that there will be an increase in unopened things.
Mm-hmm.
The cost of unopened packs from this generation, because now there's a lot more kids and a lot more adults and just people in general opening up these packs. And you're not getting as many people that are just buying them to keep them sealed. And so I think that cost is going to go up a lot.
Interesting. Well, speaking of sealed, because bring it back to the news topic, I just did like a quick check on Polygon, because I would think that leaving it unpeeled, as disciplined as you would need to be to have this Ditto unpeeled, it says that one Redditor brought up that the glue might degrade and warp the card. Interesting. So it's like you want to retain the value, but you might actually just be destroying the entire card over time just by the nature of how it was put together.
It's like baseball cards that used to come with gum, right? Like if they were kept in like a hot space for too long, like that gum would deteriorate and destroy the cards, and so.
And
interesting.
One last thing, like I hate to say it, but I find some of these, like now that we're not in like major holiday season, and I've checked certain sites where you could just buy a box like full of X amount of booster packs, and when you do the math, it still equates to like $3.99 a pack, which is like the lowest you could get for a booster pack. Part of me is like, what if I just buy that, and then when Christmas comes around, I'll be able to afford to buy Christmas presents and I'll sell it because it won't be around by Christmas.
That could work.
Anyway, cool. It's a cool feature. I want to check it out.
I also wonder how many like counterfeit Ditto cards there are going to be.
Oh
God.
You just peel it back and it says, "You suck."
Oh my gosh.
So one other fun little Ditto fact, and we'll move on. Did you know that the Pokemon centers in Japan will purposefully hide Ditto versions of Pokemon in their plushie displays? So like in the displays of all the Charmanders, there'll be like a Ditto Charmander with a little Ditto face.
I love that.
That's so cute.
I love Charmander.
It's Puyo Fever and sorry. Let me start over. It's Puyo Fever and everybody's itching to take a puff of the pink ball of joy. Kirby
Wow.
Kirby having just completed, because it's funny, that's why. Kirby having just completed his journey through the Forgotten Land in March is now hopping back onto the Nintendo Switch via the NSO Expansion Pass. Expansion Pass players are now able to play the N64 Classic, Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. However, gamer beware, there's been a game-breaking bug discovered. Getting hit by some damage sources underwater causes you to enter a state of hit stun, and you have to quit in order to fix it because you're just unable to move for the entirety of the timer. So Kirby 64 and the Crystal Shards, one of my personal favorite Kirby games because I think it was the first Kirby game that introduced like combining abilities, and like you can combine like cold and I want to say electricity, and you become a refrigerator, which is why I hate mouthful mode, because refrigerator Kirby already exists.
I love that reference. See, that's what like got my logic thinking, because I'm like, I'm pretty sure there was a refrigerator version like in Crystal Shards. Oh, I love that game. Oh my goodness, it is next to Forgotten Lands now. I think Crystal Shards is my favorite because of the combination, but also has like that creepy. I don't know. I found like the bosses, because the bosses are spoilers, your friends kind of, but I'll just stop there. It was creepy.
For sure. Greysun, I know you said that you don't really go back and play older games. Has there been any NSO games that you were like, I have to jump back in for this?
Yeah, there's been a few. Like I jumped into like Star Fox and like Mario Kart 64 and Smash Brothers on there? No. What is the other part?
Not yet.
I know Mario
pretty
Party
much Mario
2's
Kart, because like when I used to have a Nintendo 64 as a kid, it was always like multiplayer focused stuff. So like Smash and Mario Kart and that type of stuff was like our most played stuff. Like this Kirby game, I actually never played it before. I think I tried playing it on an emulator like when I was a kid, and it kept crashing on me or something, so I never stuck with it. But I don't know, nothing ever about it ever like screamed at me to like play it, and I feel like I never really heard anyone say it's like their favorite games. But now that I've heard you guys talk about it, I kind of want to try it out, especially since I love the Forgotten Land. That's like probably my favorite Kirby game now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it's interesting too, because this is like Forgotten Land is the first true 3D Kirby game, and Kirby 64 was the first 3D Kirby game, even though it's a 2D side scroller. So it's like, they're both kind of synced up in history. This is a question for all three of you. Is there a game that could come to NSO on N64 that would make you immediately hop on and play it?
Smash
64?
Smash Brothers for sure. With online multiplayer. Ooh. Let's go.
There's a couple of them, but I would say the first one that just came to mind is Wave Race 64. I don't know why.
Hey, Wave Race is a classic that like.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's one of those that either you absolutely love it or you've never even heard of it.
Yeah.
I don't understand how people never like. Wave Race was so. For me, it was so seminal to the Nintendo 64 experience. That and 1080, like at the same time. I don't know, man.
Snowboard Kids, man, that's the one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Finally, someone else who likes that game too.
So, speaking of snowboarding games on the Nintendo 64, I asked for 1080 snowboarding for Christmas one year, and my parents bought me this other snowboarding game called Twisted Edge Extreme Snowboarding.
Ooh.
And it was not 1080 snowboarding. I'll just put it that way.
Oh, Rampage. I would
Rampage
totally
would be great.
Rampage immediately. And it's only because I grew up with it, but I would be into Harvest Moon 64 again. I lost interest in Harvest Moon since they came out with like 50 others, and it just became the same thing. But Harvest Moon 64 was my first ever of the farming sim type, so it just personally bring me memories. So
it would also be really cool if we got the Japanese version of the first Animal Crossing game, which came out on Nintendo 64.
Yeah, Animal Forest.
Animal Forest, right? Yeah, because the first Animal Crossing is one of my favorites for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be cool to see like the differences between the two versions.
Maybe when they release the GameCube on NSO, they'll do like a party where put population growing and Animal Forest out.
I mean, the NSO has a history of putting out Japanese versions of games. I mean, Sin and Punishment is on there, and that didn't come out here. So
that's true. They could always release it on the Japanese one, and then you just make a Japanese.
It could happen.
Yeah, it's possible. It could happen. Shout out to Angels in the Outfield. Are you into Pokemon Secret of Mana and Xenoblade Chronicles? Well, this is none of those. Trinity Trigger, originally under the codename Project Tri-Tri, is a turn-based RPG being developed by a company called Three Rings, who are responsible for Story of Seasons, Tokyo Ghoul, and One Piece Romance Dawn. However, there are also some big names attached to this project as well, including, and I apologize for butchering these, I'm going to try my best, Raita Kazama, character designer on Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles X, as well as Atsuko Nishida, Tomohiro Kitakaze, and Megumi Mizutani, who were all artists on Pokemon.
Nailed it.
So this came, we got news of this for Boss Rush. And Corey, you had posted it in the chat, in our Twitter chat. What are you excited for this one?
I mean, anytime something for someone from Xenoblade is attached to a project is usually has my attention. Also, if you're gonna kind of make a cool new stylistic RPG, I'm usually going to at least half pay attention to it. The key art that they kind of use to reveal this looks a lot like a mixture of classic Final Fantasy, I would say almost Final Fantasy Tactics art style. I don't know. It has me excited and intrigued to see what it is. So yeah, man, looks cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at actually I haven't heard of this story until today, so thank you. But it looks pretty cool. Like Corey said, I'm a big JRPG person, so anything that comes from like famed RPG developers, I'm always going to be interested in. And especially since it's supposed to be kind of like a like taking inspiration from like 90s RPGs. Chrono Trigger is like one of my favorite RPGs. I love Final Fantasy, so anything like that is right up my alley, and it looks really cool.
It does look very cool.
The character designs are cool. The art style looks dope. So far.
Steph, you excited for this one at all? Any interest?
Yeah, I mean, I have an interesting relationship with RPGs just because maybe I'm an adult now and I don't have much time, and I also lack patience, so I think the combination is terrible. Like, I don't have a lot of patience at all. However, I do find it stunningly beautiful, and I'm not going to say no to it. I just might not get it like day one, but it's definitely going to be on my list for sure.
I love the watercolor effect in the
Yes.
background. It looks awesome.
One of the only things I see here that might not it doesn't concern me, but I wasn't really a huge fan of the story for Octopath Traveler, like the general overarching story.
Yeah.
And the writer for this game is the same writer for Octopath, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. I do like the individual stories for each character, or most of them at least. But I think that game also it just has like a lacking narrative for like the overall adventure that you're on.
Yeah.
But this seems to be more straightforward and not like you're not going to be controlling a bunch of characters probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. The game's designer
like
might hold the writer to just one.
Yeah. Like no
path.
Octopath, just one path.
I know it had
Cool.
try in the name, but we're not doing 3. We're doing 1.
Maybe because there's 3 characters.
Maybe.
Tree.
It says there's 3-person multiplayer in this article I'm reading, so
Ooh.
it'll support solo play as well up to 3-person. So that's interesting.
It's
So what
the
you're saying is like
spiritual
Destiny.
successor. Oh, I was gonna say the spiritual successor to Legend of Zelda.
Oh no, please! Not the Triforce Heroes.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
god.
What if it's their version of Phantasy Star?
Phantasy Star Online allowed for 4 people to play.
I don't care, Jacob. Come on, I'm just
It's
trying
like,
to.
excuse me.
I'm-
It's a whole other.
Let me just. Well, actually,
You know what? It required you to have at least 3 friends to play it with you. And guess who didn't have 3 friends growing up, Jacob? Me.
So, and I did want to ask a question from the chat. Our very own Shane, still saying Shane, wrote a banter piece on Eevee Evolutions that came out today on bossrush.net. And he wants to know, what variation of Eevee would you want based on Spain for these games? What type of Eevee do you want to see?
I want one that looks like a bullfighter.
I was just gonna say that, or just a bull, I guess, in general.
Would that be like a fighting type?
A fighting type, yeah.
Yeah, or it could be like a cool. We haven't seen like a ghost Eevee type, and it'll be cool to get like a ghostly bull kind of thing, like no legs. It's kind of like a ghostly. Yeah. I can see it.
Yeah, a ghost type would be great. It maybe could be haunting like an abandoned cathedral or something.
Yeah, something like Spain has a lot of history, so.
I'm weirdly excited for Violet and Scarlet. I'm not a huge Pokemon guy, but just watching the trailers and stuff, and I'm like, I think this is it. I think this is the one that gets me back in there.
I have his article up now, and I think one other one that I would say would be fantastic. It would technically fall under normal type as well, but it would be like an Eevee that's like art, like its tail could maybe be like a paintbrush, because I think there's a Pokemon that has a paintbrush tail anyway.
Yeah, Smeargle.
Yeah. But like I want an Eevee version, because I love Eevee in all its evolved forms. I actually finally collected all Eevee Evolutions Pokemon cards, not like just wherever I could get them, not any special type. I just wanted one of each. So I'm
What types are
cute.
we missing from this list?
Fighting,
Steel.
Ghost,
Steel.
Steel, Dragon,
poison.
Flying and Poison and Bug.
Yeah, this is a lot.
And Rock.
Rock. Yeah, but bug and flying would definitely be hard. Like,
And normal, technically.
Yeah.
Everyone always wants a normal type Eevee evolution where it's just a more Eevee.
EVVV.
Eevee.
Eevee.
Evian. There we
Yes!
go.
There could be something based around like alcohol or wine or something. Like
That would be cool.
I don't know how that would work, but
This Eevee is just a good time
liquefied-
all the time.
It could be a flight of Eevees for flying power.
Oh.
Can intoxicate other Pokemon. It's a new status effect.
What's everyone's current favorite Eevee evolution?
It's always been Umbreon for me. I don't think it's changed.
Yes, Umbreon's my favorite too. With Vaporeon
Umbreon's so
being a
cool.
close second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flareon for me, but I like fire types. So also his like kind of chest fluff is cool. He's got the
really cute.
big, huge, wavy tail. I like it. It's like I used to run with a Flareon and an Arcanine in my party all the time. So, also, by the way, running 3 fire types in your party is not smart. But
It's
I
fine.
did.
I also want to point out in the chat, Shane did the wine idea as poison types Eevee in Toxeon, Inebrion, and Licorion.
Nice.
He did
That's
do that.
cool. A poison wine Pokemon.
Poison
He
wine,
also did
or
the-
olive oil.
He also did the fighting
Olive
types.
oil.
Bolarion. Matadorion.
Matadorion.
Wow.
Huh.
These are great.
Yeah,
Nintendo,
I wish we had
Pokemon,
those
hire
ideas.
Shane.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, cool. I was gonna. Oh, my favorite was Vaporeon, but I think recently it's become Sylveon.
And
Nice.
you can't go wrong, right? They're all
They're all
fantastic.
perfect.
Right. Yes.
Poor Glaceon and Leafeon, though. It feels like nobody ever mentions them.
I feel like they're too similar,
Mm.
maybe. But Espeon and Umbreon are like literally just opposite. I
Yeah.
don't know. But they came first. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, that could be it because like Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Flareon were the original,
Yeah.
right? And then Espeon and Umbreon were the first like duo.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Glaceon and Leafeon, and then everyone was expecting another duo, and we got Sylveon. So that one's special because it's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
just one.
Mhm.
So,
We haven't gotten a new one in a long time.
Yeah.
I just thought about it. It's been like multiple generations, which is weird.
It's coming back.
well,
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get a new one in this game. We'll see.
I think we're ready for docked mode, Corey.
Do
Are
it.
we?
Yeah,
All right. Thanks for reading the family news, Jacob. I appreciate
you're
you.
welcome.
And now
I
it's time
appreciate
for
you.
Docked Mode. It's fine.
Is Ed here? I feel like Ed's here.
Oh man, I
Channeling his spirit. I love it.
sound just like him. Gosh. We were talking about that the other day, side tangent. Like I said, Ed, if you're ever here, I'm gonna have to do a really terrible impression of you. And then we started talking about it, and I was like, no, because someone will tell me that I'm being super racist and that I can't do that. And so I just have to.
Yeah.
I have to be
Even
the.
with his blessing, yeah, it'll just not come
I
out
know.
right.
I know. And so I'm just going to be the pasty white guy in the chair who easily gets sunburned and is partially overweight, according to my doctor. Docked mode. On this episode of Nintendo Power Block, I want to ask all you Elite Block agents a simple question. Do you enjoy being taught how to play a game or genre by other human players? Do you seek knowledge, their story and connection to the series, or a direction and coaching helpful? Lastly, do Nintendo's past games feel easier to teach new players, or are they better for them to learn it themselves? You ready, Elite Block agents? Let's go!
Interesting topic.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I grew up, I never had anyone teach me because my parents hated video games and I was an only child. And my cousin, who's much older, who liked video games, was like, "Oh, you're an annoying little girl. Go away. I'm not going to teach you anything." Like, it was just typical, like, older brother mentality, even though he was my cousin. But so I did not. But if I were to, I mean, I don't know if that would work today. I'm not opposed to like having a friend walk me through something like Elden Ring. Sure, like I'm not like, don't teach me. I just don't know how it would work these days. But it makes me think of my son because he don't know what the heck he's doing. I'll give him the easiest. I'll give him Donut County. He doesn't know what he's doing. So I'm like, here, that you drag the little hole here and you swallow the buildings and the donuts. I don't know. I find that there's a special connection when you're teaching someone, as long as you're not micromanaging, because that can be a real pain in the butt, especially like if someone's a perfectionist and like, no, you're not doing it the right way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I've been trying to show my daughter once in a while games because she's going to be 4 in like a month. And I'm like, well, I started playing video games when I was 3. Also, it was a Game Boy and not an Xbox or a Switch. So it's really hard to kind of like talk about this because like we all grew up to a certain extent on like, you know, NES and Super Nintendo and Genesis and stuff, and like we were kind of learning about analog sticks at the same time as everybody else, you know? And so everybody kind of, it's like this weird thing where everybody was kind of learning together how to do all this. And now when you go back, it's like, well, where do we start? You know, how do I teach my daughter how to play NES and Super Nintendo first, or do I let her jump in, or do I just find a game that's easy enough for her to comprehend? Like Yoshi's Crafted World is something that I've been kind of teaching her and putting it on mellow mode and just letting her walk around and jump around and stuff. And she doesn't really get it, but she gets excited when she sees Yoshi jump or walk around and stuff, you know, and then she finds the screenshot button, and then there's 8,000 pictures of Yoshi dying on my screen, and it's like, well, okay, that's time to stop. But another game I also showed her was Disneyland Adventures on Xbox, which is like it's like this cartoon version of Disneyland, and you create a kid that goes around and does these quests in Disneyland, and we've kind of been doing it together. And by, you know, like actually playing it, I mean, we've probably only played like an hour at most, but like she is learning how to run around and stuff. And that game has a camera where like, if you stop moving the camera, it'll just adjust behind you automatically. And so that's kind of really helped a lot. And seeing things that she's super familiar with, like the Disney characters and, you know, a castle and all these other things, it's kind of helped her enjoy it more, which is why I actually have been leaning a lot towards some licensed games recently, because like it's easier for people to understand and comprehend things when it's something that they like, you know, and that's kind of where I'm at right now with that. I don't know if my daughter will ever be in the video games the way that I am, but like it's fun to sit and watch her kind of think about it and realize that, oh, the A button is jump, or hey, this stick, when you move it in a direction, that's where the character's moving. And it's kind of neat to watch.
Yeah. I'm going to raise a counter. I have a new piece of equipment. I'm going to raise a counter argument. I am okay with other people teaching me how to play a game. In fact, one of my favorite series of all time, Monster Hunter, very much relies on that. In fact, it's a core part of the community. Yeah. However, as I've learned with Switch Sports, Nintendo Switch Sports, I don't know when we got to this point where, I know there was a long time where people are like, games hold your hand too much. They need to let you figure stuff out on your own. This game's for babies. Nintendo Switch Sports does almost nothing to teach you how to play it.
Thank you.
Badminton for me is the worst offender of this. I have no idea. I know that if I swing down from up to down, I do a yellow shot, a drop like a hard shot, and if I hold ZL, I'll do like a drop shot, which is right up at the net. But I don't understand why my character trips all the time. I don't understand how to make sure that I hit. I feel like I do the same motion, and sometimes it goes to the left of the court, and sometimes it just goes straight across the court. And I don't get it. I don't know why. And I don't know when. I can't find instructions anywhere on the game.
I'm so grateful you said this, because when I played it for the first time, and it was with Dan from Dinosaur Machines, shout out Dan, I noticed that they didn't come out with instructions right away. I mean, bowling, figure it's kind of easy, but like everything else, like badminton, I'm like, and then once a match ends, it then shows a screen like, hey, did you know you could do this? I'm like, why wasn't that shown to me before I started the game?
That's so, and I've been playing Ring Fit Adventure every day, and this game is atrocious at that, because it'll be like, do this stretch, and it shows you how to do it, and then like, when there's like 1/4 of the time limit left, it's like, did you know that if you're having trouble, do this? And it's like, that would have been nice to know. an hour ago? Like, where was that information? I've been over here struggling. Yeah, I don't know when we hit this point of like not saying any information at all. But it's to the point where like I've looked up, because I like Switch Sports a lot. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I've looked up videos on like, how do I play this sport in the game? And all of them are the same of like, well, you know, to get better in badminton, you have to hit the shuttlecock. It's like, okay, great. How do I do that? Well, just hit it. How? What? When? Is it timing based? I don't know. And so, yeah, it's this whole thing. And that's my counter argument, is that like I'm totally fine with having somebody teach me how to play the game. In fact, I think that builds a really strong community, especially in a multiplayer game. Monster Hunter is great evidence of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because Monster Hunter players are not mean to each other for the most part. There's always some bad eggs. But because if you want someone to play this game with you, you have to teach them how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the game doesn't, you can't just say, buy the game and play with me.
Mm-hmm.
You have to teach them, or they're not going to get it unless they spend just countless hours. And by that time, it like probably won't be fun for them unless they're just like a born hunter.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it promotes community, but the game has to teach you as well, man.
Yeah.
So it's so frustrating.
I mean,
that's another good point, because Alien Fireteam Elite is not a game I would normally pick up myself, and I'm not good at like those type of games. But I play with David Lasby, and he is so great coaching me through it. Because of his coaching, I am now great at exploding aliens. Thank you, David.
Yeah. I think like some games definitely do the onboarding process better than others. Like I think Nintendo actually, besides Nintendo Switch Sports, they do a fantastic job at kind of telling you everything you need to know, and they don't do it all at once. There are some games you play where they literally pile like paragraphs of text onto you. You move 1 second and you get a text pop up. You move another second and it's like you can do. I'm like, I'm not gonna be building up. It's just like I'm thinking about maybe like Ubisoft games may do that sometimes or something. But like you can't just give me paragraphs of text and expect me to remember all the elements of this one mechanic or something. I like when games show you one thing, you're doing one thing, and then you do something a few minutes later, an hour later, and it shows you how to do that thing, and it's like progressive. I can get overwhelmed very easily with like a lot of menus and things, which is why I feel like Nintendo games. That's why I like Nintendo games so much.
Yeah.
Because so I was thinking about this because last weekend when my friends were here, we played Mario Party a couple of matches, and they're two girls, and not that they're girls, they don't play games. I just wanted to mention that they're girls. It was funny, but they never played Mario Party before, and me and my partner are playing with them, and they're just asking so many questions, things that I never thought someone would ask, like how to use this item. I don't know, you can get items, and they got mad at us for like getting like these mystery blocks that you can randomly step on and getting like random stars. Like, you guys are cheating. How do you get this stuff? Like, no, it's random. Like, it just happens. They're like, okay, sure.
They don't know the Mario Party randomness.
Yeah, them learning how to play the mini games and stuff like that. But like once the turns kept going on, like they were getting familiar with the mechanics and understood like the goal of the game without like we skipped a tutorial, right? Because we play all the time. They don't, but we just wanted to like kind of. We were like drinking and just playing, you know, a fun game, whatever. But after a few turns, they understood, and I feel like Nintendo just is really good at that, like sort of the context clues and like, you know, the first Mario game, they put that Goomba there. If you don't jump over it, you're gonna die. So you learn to jump over it, even though the game doesn't tell you like press A to jump. Because you know in the dock mode, did Ed write that one?
Yeah,
it's like Nintendo games. He's like, do past Nintendo games feel easier to teach new players? And I feel like Nintendo games in general, like current games, are great for teaching like new gamers. I feel like they do a great job of like showing you what to do without like necessarily holding your hand all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that you make a great point, and it's also the mark of good game design when the game itself teaches you how to play. And I'll shout out somebody that I'm sure a lot of people know. Ego Raptor, founding member of Game Grumps, and his series Sequelitis that he used to do, calls out like a very you don't think about it, but it's kind of a very obvious point when you do think about it, is that the NES controller had a D-pad and 2 face buttons, and that was it, and that's start and select, right? So when you boot up the game for the first time, and you think, I have no idea what to do. What do I do? Well, you start hitting buttons, right? So you figure out very quickly, D-pad lets you move, A does one action, B does another action. And then the game is designed in a way to show you like, oh, hey, there's an enemy coming at you, like Mario, right? Classic Super Mario Brothers. That Goomba slowly moves towards you, right? And your option is either get hit or jump on him or jump over him. And the game immediately taught you 3 different things that can happen. And so, yes, I think that the simplicity of older Nintendo, not just Nintendo games, just older games in general, with a few exceptions, teach you better how to play the game, but it's because it's so simple, right? It's because it has such a simple system to it, and there's very limited things that you can do. So we have, kind of like what Corey was saying, is we have the benefit of growing up with that and knowing, like, when we pick up a controller, the layout, even though there's more buttons now, it's pretty much the same. We can pretty much know what moves, know what does what, right? Like A is usually accept. But that's because we grew up learning that when it was really, really simple. And now it'd be like if you were handing a 100-button remote to somebody who uses the up and down volume on a button, and that's on a remote, and that's it.
And you can tell when you give someone a controller, you can tell when they haven't played a game before, because they'll like have 2 hands for like one control stick, or like just hold in a weird, we're used to, like, we have the triggers and the shoulder buttons and stuff, and the face buttons and the control sticks, and we know controllers have evolved, in a pretty similar fashion throughout like the history, so we know what to expect.
And I will say also that if you're trying to teach somebody, patience is, you have to have patience, because especially if you're teaching someone that's never played a game before, because what they're going to do is they're going to look at the screen, and the screen's going to say, hit the button, and then they're going to look at their controller.
Yeah.
And then they're going to look, okay, this one. And then they have to, you have to have patience for it. And if you don't, they're not going to want to do it, because it's not going to be an enjoyable experience for them.
Yeah. Especially when you give them an Xbox controller and a Switch controller. Oh my gosh. And the A buttons are in different places.
Yes. And the PlayStation and X button is, even amongst Nintendo controllers, where the X button is in the top and then in the top right on the GameCube.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's rough. Yeah, I remember when we were like trying to teach somebody how to play Destiny one day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and this was like 2 years ago, and I'm like, man, Destiny, that is a game that is tough to teach someone who's never played it. So,
and another thing is start them off in a 2D game.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, for sure.
Even though we all work with technology a lot, there's a weird disconnect when you have to first realize that the camera that you move is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So either a 2D or an over-the-shoulder game where like they can see their character.
Yeah, that's
a lot easier.
That second analog stick is super intimidating to people.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a lot of move and then look around.
Yeah,
and move, and then
like
look
it's for someone new. It's probably like trying to do the thing where you're like patting your stomach and like doing anything with your head, because you're have these 2 sticks and you're like, which ones? How do I walk? How do I move the camera? Like, which direction is which? Is it inverted? Is it not inverted? Like that stuff.
Man.
Yeah.
So, do past games feel easier to teach? We kind of answered that already, right? So,
a little, yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody have anything else to say about teaching people how to play games besides patience and just really sitting with them to learn?
Yeah, I've got one more tip, I guess, is really think about the game that you're trying to teach them, and that it would be a game that they would actually be interested in. Because that will go a long way as well. Like I've tried to teach Rebellity how to play Monster Hunter before, and she just didn't take to it at all. But Monster Hunter Stories, she really enjoys. So
it's a great game. Monster Hunter Stories is fun.
But yeah, so you have to really think about, like, is the person that I'm wanting to get into this game, is it something that they're actually going to enjoy, or is it just that I want to play with them? Because sometimes it's just not going to work out, and they're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's gonna do it for docked mode. So let's get into playing with power. I feel like every time
I'm just worried you're gonna punch the camera.
I'm worried that my elbow is gonna break. The way my body's been falling
You
apart.
have bursitis.
Yeah, I don't have that protective sack that you do on my elbow. Long story, Greysun. It's fine. Greysun, what do you?
I don't understand it either.
What are you playing?
Yeah, I feel like I won't be that long. Yeah, like with my friends coming this past weekend, and I was actually in Orlando on vacation the weekend before that. I haven't really played much of, like, I've been playing stuff, but there's not been like one game that I've been like having my head down on ever since I beat Elden Ring. There just hasn't been anything that's been hitting me. And it also just hasn't been any like really big launches. You know, there's no big games coming out. So I feel like a lot of people are sort of revisiting their backlog and things like that. So for me, it's been like I've been going back into Splatoon 2, just doing Turf Wars whenever I'm like, that's just a perfect game I put on like late night when I just want to listen to like a podcast or something. It just like zone out. It's like just stare off into space and play some matches. Same with Tetris 99, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'm also like I've been itching to like get back into Monster Hunter just to kind of like remember how to play that game before the expansion comes out, because I haven't really touched it in a while. I beat it, but there's like a bunch of missions I have that I can like clean up before the new stuff comes. But yeah, I've just been kind of like laying low for now, honestly. I don't really like, I have a backlog too, but you just have to kind of be in the mood, I feel like, for certain games, and I just haven't really been in the mood for like any big game. I'm just sort of waiting until the next thing. So yeah,
I hear you.
I don't know what that next thing is, really.
Stephanie, what are you playing besides writing your novel?
Well, see, that's the thing. I'm up against my June 1st personally set deadline, so I haven't really played anything. But I'll share what I got, because apparently I have a buying problem ever since PAX. I can't seem to stop spending money.
That's not true.
But I like triple dipped into this, but I found the collector's edition for Gree for the Switch that comes with the art book and the soundtrack. Like, I had to. I'm like, I have to have this. And I forgot if it's special reserve or limited run that had done this, but they were sold out. But I was able to find a copy of this. And then I also got Hotline Miami collection for the Switch. So just add
very
that
good
to
games.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm very much looking forward to playing them, but I have unfortunately not played games for a while.
That's right. You only got a week.
1 week to finish a book. No pressure.
Actually, I did forget. I wanted to add. I wasn't playing much, but I did get this today, which I plan on reading.
Ooh,
Yes.
nice.
Yeah, Reggie's new book. So I'm excited for that.
It's pretty good. Jacob, what are you playing?
I've been playing daily Ring Fit Adventure. Saturday was day 50, and Sunday would have been day 51, but I was consigned to my bed all day because migraine, and it was like 9 o'clock, and I woke up for a little bit and was like, do I want to do it? Do I want to make myself do it? And I just thought about turning lights on and was like, nope, not going to happen. So had to admit defeat and take a break day. So today will be day 51 after the podcast. But Ring Fit Adventure, I've been playing through Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition little by little. Really haven't made it far at all because, oh my good lord, side quests. And I refuse to move on until every side quest is done. So I've just been running back and forth constantly between areas.
A lot of side quests.
Yeah, a lot of side quests in that game. And then I may or may not have gone on a little bit of a retail therapy buying spree because the 3DS eShop thing is going out today is the last day to buy something with credit cards. And not just eShop cards. So I got like a couple games left on my wish list. and I still got more to get, but I've got until next year to get it loaded up with eShop cards. There's like 48 more games that I have to buy, and if I can get them all, then like I have every game that's on the eShop that I want.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's I have 128. No,
It's impressive.
I have a 250 gigabyte SD card in there so that I can have all of them. And it's
Wait, can it hold that?
It can. Yes, you have to modify it, not the system itself. You have to modify the SD card to be the correct format. And
Right.
so like when I go to download a game, it'll be like this game requires 6,000 bytes or whatever, and you have 9,999, and it just says that for a really long time.
Huh.
But yeah, like you know how when you back out the 3DS menu, it shows you like all of your games.
Yeah.
You can like make it show the maximum viewpoint.
Right.
I'm almost to the point where I don't have any room left on that unless I start creating folders. So I'm really hoping that I can get it organized
Wow.
Wow.
and not be limited.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it will be.
That'll be
Yeah,
a
so my
project.
3DS is almost like the perfect 3DS system for me. I'll have it, and it'll be, as long as it
Wow.
doesn't break, it'll be forever there.
Nice.
Mhm.
Well, I also went on a little spree. A little one, not a big one, little one. I got some Wii U games,
Nice.
physical ones that I was missing.
Ooh.
So I got Watch Dogs 1, not great, but needed it. Splinter Cell Blacklist, also not great on the Wii U, but I
But
needed
needed
it.
it.
And also, for some reason, Smash for Wii U.
Did you not have it?
You didn't have it?
I did, but I traded in some Wii U games to get
Mm.
the Switch versions of those games, and I regretted it. So now, the Wii U has kind of become my project.
It's
Not-
like your 3DS.
Yeah,
It's like your Jake.
I mean, I didn't get rid of a lot of Wii U games, but I did get rid of a few to the point where I was like, oh, I should have probably kept that. You know, like Mario Kart 8 was one also that I got rid of just because obviously the Switch version is 1,000 times
Just
better now.
better.
But
Yeah.
I ended up getting that a couple months ago, and they're starting to go up in price, and I wanted to get them before they started becoming astronomical. Like Devil's Third is like $600.
what?
I'm like, no, I'm skipping that. But
Was
It's-
Watch
it's
Dogs
like-
cheap?
no, I mean so it was cheap, and then it wasn't. So I used to find it on new versions on Amazon for like $7, $8, $10. So like, I'll wait. This is one I can wait on. So I kind of prioritized my list, and then every couple weeks or so I go through and I'm like, okay, has anything changed? Has anything? $35 for Watch Dogs on Wii U now.
Wow.
Okay, I thought it was gonna be way like higher than that. So
No,
I was
but I
scared
mean,
for a second.
no,
That's a lot
but
of,
like
it's
10
not worth that much.
going from 10 to 35, I was like, oh my gosh. So also like the Call of Duty games on there are really expensive for some reason. Black Ops 2 on the
Black
Wii U
Ops.
is like 50 something dollars. It's gross. I mean, you can go on and find a used copy that might have a hole in the case or something for cheaper, but I don't want that.
Yeah.
You know what I picture when you talk about collecting your Wii U games, like in The Little Mermaid when Ariel starts singing, like, look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my
trinkets.
collection's complete?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Basically.
nothing wrong with that.
You know what games are really expensive? Are those stupid Spider-Man games for the Amazing Spider-Man games from the movies.
Huh.
Those games are super
came to Wii
expensive.
U?
Yeah.
Who could ever predict
Could've
what
fooled
would
me.
be really valued in the future, you know?
Yeah. Also, Wii Sports Club on Wii U is like $100. So
Huh. Wow.
worth it. You can see the golf ball on the pad when you're playing golf. But in terms of games that I'm not really playing anything on Switch right now. I kind of got Mario'd out. I'm like really struggling with this one level, and I'm just like, I gotta just put it down for a minute. I'll come back to it. I'm committed to 100%ing Mario 3D World. I have 3 levels left.
Wow.
I can't just put it down with 3 levels left, but I had to put it down because I was getting frustrated. Also, playing Mario 3D World in handheld mode on Champions Road is a terrible idea. Very terrible idea. So I've been playing Destiny a lot because the new season starts tomorrow. As of this recording, and they just released the trailer. Season of the Haunted. So that's going to be exciting. All of the seasonal gear looks like Grim Reaper stuff, and the exotic weapon is a scythe. So I'm very excited for that. I've also been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I've put about 20 hours into it this past week and a half, and it's just my comfort game. You know, that game plays so well. I love running around the world. I love just stabbing people and going to do a quest and hitting, B to skip the dialogue and just moving on to the next point to stab someone. It's a good time. It's a good time. So that's kind of all I've been playing, though. I've been really ramping up some stuff for episode 300 and all the other shows, trying to give them a fresh kind of look, and episode 300 of Power Block is going to be that kickoff point. So I'm trying to get everything ready for that. So that's kind of it, though. Anyways.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I've been staying up way too late doing that stuff, and I should just take a night off, but I won't because
you're stubborn.
I know. But that's going to do it. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of Nintendo Pow Block. Jacob, Stephanie, Greysun, I appreciate your time tonight. You can find Nintendo Pow Block on your podcast service of choice. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star rating. If you want to support us, head over to Patreon, patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. You can also buy Nintendo Pow Block and Pow Block 300 merch now on our store. It is up. You can buy it if you want. It's cool. It's fun. Get yourself a sticker or a mug or a shirt. One of those. We wear those. Greysun, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Greysun Morales, and you can also find my work over at GameRant.com.
Stephanie?
Y'all can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Klimov, KLIMOV_author. My articles on BossRush.net. Wednesday nights on the Boss Rush podcast and After Dark and the Disney arm of Standard Definition. Whew.
Jacob.
You can find me everywhere on the internet at Galutrad. That's Galutrad.
And you can find me at IamCorianHD on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me hosting the Boss Rush podcast. You can find me on Standard Definition. You can find me on After Dark. You can find me on a plethora of things here on the Boss Rush Network. Also check out Nintendo Power Block Expansion Pass, our supplemental show. And you can find Ed at that retro code. Tweet at him. Show him some love for not being here tonight. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.